Hello everybody, this is Amanda. It's, what is today's date? It's the 22nd of January 2020 and I'm going to be doing a channeling this morning with Princess Diana. This is the fourth channeling that I've done with Diana, and this one's going to be slightly different because in the other sessions that I've done with her, we haven't talked very much about her two sons. She was never that comfortable doing so, but because of everything that's out there at the moment in the media, I got the message that she wanted to calm the waters. Having said that, there are some messages that probably want to come through in here, which maybe will be a little bit contentious. So before I do anything, I'm actually just going to welcome in the energy, set the most positive high vibration that we can for this video, and put on what is called the armour of God. So thank you also to one of you that mentioned on my channel, you recognise that I do these videos uncut. What you see in every single video that I put out, they're always unedited, okay? I never edit my videos. I could say I don't know how, but it's not that actually, or is that, but it's also I don't have the time. So what you see is what comes through in real time from spirit in all of my work, okay? So sometimes I might trip up on my words, I might say things in the wrong way or the wrong order, but what I don't do is go back and polish, okay? So you see it raw, and I think there's a power in that. Okay, the energy has actually been building for the last 48 hours, particularly the last 24 hours. I went out and bought these beautiful roses for Diana because she was always referred to as England's rose. So they've got let me just show you the energy. Let's just build up the energy before we get into the actual words. Isn't that stunningly beautiful? To me, it looks like an antique rose colour. It's got an energy of antique stroke vintage about it. And I don't know, they really spoke to me. They really feel as though they carry her energy. I woke up this morning and I'm just going to talk for 5 minutes, okay? Just because I need to build the energy up for this. It's a really important video. I just need you to understand where I'm coming from with this. I woke up this morning and I had intended to do this video, but I thought I'm not quite sure. Then I went on to both my YouTube and Facebook channels. There was a couple of comments that had come in about the royal family overnight. And one was in particular quite contentious, and somebody attacking my stance on something I'd said. And I thought, God, do I really want to go in and do this? You know? And I sort of thought, no, maybe I'll put it off until tomorrow. But then I thought, no, today is the 22nd. It's a master number day. It carries special energy. Today's the day we're meant to do it. And she's now saying to me, of course, 2 and 2. So it's like I'm seeing her two boys. Okay, so 2 and 2. 2 boys and the 2 wives. Okay, and then her sort of as the mother figure over them. But one way that I was able to get into her energy today, it's quite unusual, but I'm going to tell you what it is. It came to me what she was doing with me. Was I had this mad desire to, well, not desire, but I suddenly wanted to change all the beds in the house, okay? So I stripped off all the bedding and put a couple of loads of washing on, and I was just sort of tidying up, just doing mum duties really, you know? And I suddenly felt her over my shoulder as I was rummaging through the laundry cupboard. And I thought, oh, I can see what you're doing. It's like, I know what she wants to bring through is some loving maternal energy for us all. So it's as though I had sort of my business head on, that I have to do this right in a certain way, you know, Miss Perfectionist coming through again. And she was like, no, just go into the energy of mum. You are a mum. That's the energy that we need to be bringing through for everybody today. And she's saying you do that anyway. So thank you, Diana. Okay, let's just, before we do anything, let's just set the energy. I'm going to put on the armour of God for myself and also for those of us that are watching. But for myself, I am putting on the helmet of awakening, the breastplate of righteousness, the belt of truth, the shield of faith, the sword of the Spirit, and feet that walk in peace. And when we do that, we are dressed in God's armour and we can speak with his light. I'm also just going to spray around me 3 sprays that I felt I wanted to bring into this session. One is the Rose Inner Child spray. Another is the Rainbow Bridge, which helps me connect to her. But before I do that, I want to just spray the solar plexus energy, which is gold. Okay, it's like a gold energy. So let's just surround this whole work that we're going to do together in gold light. And ask, please, Archangel Metatron, who's also here to guide me, and Diana, for the words to come out right, for the words to come out in the energy in which they are intended, for this video to help illuminate and bring a greater degree of understanding, and for it to speak to those that have ears to be able to hear it. Thank you. Okay. All right. So I'm also just going to put on a little bit of rose perfume. So whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to just tell you about something that's just happened when I was making my bed, which has rather blown me away. But I sort of know now that the way that spirit works is multifold. And I'm just sort of now, every time these things happen, I'm just like, whoa. It's similar to what happened when I was channeling John Lennon for the first time. George Michael wanted to come in there. Well, of course, he was friends with Diana. Okay, George, I know you're here, but no, I'm talking about John Lennon. When I brought John Lennon through for the first time, there was a song that was given to me. I can't remember what it is now. I have to look back on the video. But it talked about, it was the man with the golden gun. That's right, it was the man with the golden gun. And John Lennon gave me that song, and it led into a discussion on assassination, basically. Now, we're not going to be talking about assassination today, but what has just happened is a song came on the radio when I was making the bed. Now, the thing you need to understand is that I never play the radio anymore because I bought myself a radio. It was a really bad choice. It's got a horrible tinny sound to it, and I can't bear listening to it. I need to go and buy myself a new radio. Might actually do that this afternoon. So I never anymore listen to the radio in my bedroom. But because I'm making the bed, trying to get into the energy of Diana, I hear her saying, put the radio on whilst you're making the bed. So pop the radio on and a song comes on, and I realise she's giving me a message through the song. It's an artist that I've never even heard of before. I had never heard of the song before 10 minutes ago. You know me, I'm a 1980s kid, so, you know, that's my genre. Those are all my reference points. This is a guy called Dermot Kennedy, and I've just looked him up. I believe he is Irish, British, English, I don't know. I think he's got an Irish energy to him. And the song that came on is called Power Over Me. And what got me, when I knew what she was it was about, what we need to discuss today, is the first line. I think this links into Harry, basically. The first line, I'm going to read you a few of the lyrics. The song says, I want to be king in your story. I want to know who you are. I want your heart to beat for me. Want you to sing to me softly, 'cause then I'm outrunning the dark. That's all that love ever taught me. You've got the power over me. Everything I hold dear resides in those eyes. You've got that power over me. The only one I know, the only one on my mind. You've got that power over me. And then I'm just going to go down just to another verse. And it says, so we'll hide away and never tell. You decide if darkness knows you well. That lesson of love, all that it was, I need you to see. I will... Oh, also, here we go. It says, remember the lake in the moonlight. Remember you shivered and shone. I'll never forget what you looked like on that night. But I know that time's going to take me. I know that day's going to come. I just want the devil to hate me. Call out and I'll rush out, all out of breath now. There's many different ways you can interpret that song. When I first heard it, I felt that Diana was saying to me that Meghan has got the power over Harry. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a negative thing, because what she's saying to me is that in any relationship, your relationship, any marriage, any partnership, if you've been in it a while, or even if you haven't been in it a while, what you start to observe is there is a balance of power in any relationship. In a good, loving relationship, that balance of power often will tip and it will seesaw. So, and that's the way it should be. So, for example, you might have a partner who's going through a particularly difficult time. Maybe they're unwell, maybe they're grief-stricken, maybe something has happened to them, they've lost their job, whatever. And so you as their partner, you have to rise to the occasion. And power is a slightly strong word, but it's as though you sort of have to take control a little bit. You have to be the one that leads. But then when that other person is back on their feet, of course, it should come to a more place of equilibrium and balance. But within any relationship, there is a truth that often the scales of power and control can tip and seesaw, is what she's saying. Although ultimately, of course, in a loving relationship, it shouldn't be about power anyway. It shouldn't be about that. Let's not get fixated on the word power, okay? Because I know some people are going to do that straight away. I'm just telling you the song that she's given to me. I think you should actually go and listen to that song for yourself and make your own mind up in terms of what you think she might be trying to say to us. Okay, so it certainly, though, is a nod to the fact, I feel, that she's saying that at the moment, Harry is not feeling fully empowered and is being led or influenced by another, okay, or a group. And what Diana is also saying is the fact that, if you think about it, he was born into the royal family, which is one of the big powerhouses in our world, whether you like that or not. They're a powerful family. They have a lot of sway and a lot of influence. So he was born into this family of power. He was never necessarily going to be attracted to somebody who didn't have a degree of power within themselves as well, okay? Power can also be a very positive thing, okay? It can be, remember that, power when it's used with compassion, power when it's used from a place of integrity, power when it's used from a place of love is a force that can change the world. But of course, the thing with power as well is that sometimes people can become power hungry. We see that in our world. I'm not talking about Harry and Meghan here. I'm just talking about power is both an aphrodisiac. Power is also something that can send you mad. If you look at politicians, the ones that tend to go a little bit awry, let's put it that way, are ones that have outstayed their welcome. You know, maybe they've just been in power too long. Power goes to your head. So power itself, she's saying, is something that is a very difficult energy to hold. It's a very difficult energy to handle. This song, Power Over Me, if you look at it and you look at the lyrics, it's just saying to me, she feels like she's saying at the moment, something or somebody has a power over my son. She's not saying whether that's negative or positive, but it's more just that he isn't fully in his own power. Now, I know that's contentious because some of you were saying, yes, he is. That's exactly what he's doing. But I'm just telling you what I am feeling in terms of the messages I'm getting and the energy I'm getting from her, okay? Now, the other thing I want to just say about this guy, Dermot Kennedy, is when I actually looked at who he was, because I was just interested why he'd been brought to my attention by Diana, is that he's a good-looking lad as well. You know, Diana always had an eye for the men. Let's remember that. You don't mind me saying that, do you? No, she says. Apparently, one of his most well-known singles was called Outnumbered. Okay, so I also think there's something in that, outnumbered. The fact that Harry, for whatever reason at the moment, feels outnumbered, whether that be within the royal family, whether that be within maybe his relationship, but it feels as though there's a lot of energies around him, and his journey now is to find his way back to his own power. Okay, I'm just going to put this laptop down now, just to get the energy away from the desk. I have made some notes already. I've got a feeling of some of the things that Diana wants to bring through. But let me just spray the Rainbow Bridge, just to bring her more fully in. I've got this picture sitting on my desk of her and her two sons. Okay, let's just allow her a chance to speak now. She's showing me a bowling alley. And you know, if you've been to a bowling alley, when you pick up one of the balls and you throw it, and if you are a good thrower, you manage to knock out all of the other skittles. She's saying, in a way, she's talking about Harry now, she's saying that effectively, energetically, is what he has done. Okay? Okay, now she's showing me, if you've been to a bowling alley, you know what happens is when the ball basically takes out all of the other skittles, there is this moment when where there is just nothing there, okay? There's just nothing there. And then, of course, the skittles come back into place, okay? So it's almost as though what she's saying is he's almost put this sort of energy of like a wrecking ball. All the skittles have fallen down, walked away. There is this energy of just clearance, can't see anything, nothing. But then all of the skittles come back into place. Okay, so I'm wondering what, again, I mustn't try and interpret what she's showing me. That is just what she's showing me. Okay. She's showing me him as a younger boy. She's not showing me him as the grown man that he is now. She's showing me him as the age he was when she died. And so we remember, I'm actually seeing that image of him in his suit, walking behind her coffin, okay, when in her funeral. So that's the image I've got of Harry that she's showing me. But yet we're still in the bowling alley. And she's saying there is a rage within him. She's just wanting to use the word rage. That wants to create some damage, basically. She's saying this is his shadow side. It is not really who he is. She's saying, do not judge that. She's saying every single person has an aspect of that rage, that frustration, that unhealed trauma within them. And I'm seeing him as this little boy picking up this big weighted bowling ball, which is too heavy really for him to hold. And it's like he's managed to roll it down the aisle. The skittles have been dismantled. But then what he doesn't realise is actually they all sort of pop back up again. What do you mean, Diana, by the fact they all sort of pop back again? She's saying, I don't mean anything negative by that. She's saying, what I mean is that the people that he has walked away from, because make no mistake about it, in his head, he does feel as though he's had to choose and walk away from his family. She's saying what he will realise in time, if he cares to look back over his shoulder, is that they are all still there for him. Okay? And what do I mean by that? I'm really seeing his immediate family. That's interesting, actually. She's showing me his immediate family, i.e. Charles, William, Catherine. She's saying even Andrew, believe it or not, but let's not go there. She's saying all of the Queen's siblings, okay? She's saying actually Princess Anne. Princess Anne is to the left for some reason. Now I'm being shown them all on the balcony of Buckingham Palace. So we've come away from the bowling alley analogy. I'm now seeing them all on the palace balcony, very much as they are when it's like Trooping of the Colour or something, and they're all there in their regalia. The whole family is there. It's the whole immediate family. I think that's why I'm seeing Andrew, because he is still sort of there, even though he is sort of like the black sheep of the family. That's putting it very politely, is what she's saying. But, you know, let's not go on about him. The whole family are there. They're on the balcony. And if you know London, you'll know that in front of the balcony there is the Mall. And what I'm seeing is Harry coming back, basically, and he's walking back down that Mall. And he's walking back a bit like, when I say the Fool, I'm talking about the Fool in the tarot, which is not a negative thing to say. The Fool in the tarot is somebody, oh, okay. The Fool, this is really interesting, because the Fool in the tarot, because I'm seeing him with his little rucksack on his back. The Fool in the tarot is where you have completed a whole cycle and you're then ready to start again. But what she's saying to me is before he can do that, he has to go through a whole cycle, almost like all of the archetypes within the tarot. He has to go through that whole journey before he can sort of properly return back. And she is sort of saying into the fold. I don't know whether that means back into, you know, being a senior royal or reclaiming his HRH title or anything like that. But I am just seeing that he has to go through that full cycle. I have to say, guys, I can't say things that aren't there. I'm seeing him walking back alone. Okay, I'm seeing him walking back alone. He is walking back. For some reason, I'm looking at his facial hair. Why am I being shown his facial hair? I'm wanting to say he looks more clean shaven, or certainly, like Diana's got a bit of a sense of humour. She's saying he's certainly got a razor in his bag, you know, that he could shave his beard if he wanted to. Not that there's anything wrong with the way he looks, but it's almost as though, you know, a clean shaven face seemed for him coming back, walking down that aisle, seems to be symbolic with sort of a fresh new start. It's a bit like when you wash your face at the start of a day and you just wash everything off. Now, to understand what she's just said, you need to understand the tarot. Now, Diana did go to psychics. She knows the tarot, okay? And I've actually got the Enchanted Tarot out here, and she's the Queen of Hearts within it, okay? She's the Queen of Hearts. So what she's saying is that when he comes back and he re-embraces his family in a meaningful way, because it doesn't mean he won't be talking to them before this, he will have gone through all of the stages of the tarot. So there is a whole journey that has to be gone through in that, which looks at the Fool, it looks at the Wheel of Fortune, it looks at the Hermit, it looks at Justice, it looks at the Devil, it looks at the Emperor, it looks at, you know, all of the major arcana cards, basically, all have a lesson for us. And it's as though he's got to go through all of the lessons of the major arcana, and then he comes back as the Fool. So it's quite a journey ahead for him, she's saying. Having said that, Diana is saying it doesn't mean that it can't be quicker than you think, okay? Although we're not going to pin any time on it. I am not seeing Meghan walking up the Mall with him, and I'm just not seeing it. Whether that means that they're not together, whether that means just that he is the one that comes back fully into the family and she is still with him, but yet for some reason isn't walking back down. You see, I'm wanting to say aisle at that point. Isn't that interesting? Because it's almost like the family. It's almost like a marriage ceremony is what I'm seeing. It's like he's married to the firm. Diana is saying it's like he is married to the firm, whether he likes it or not. And so it's almost like a retaking of vows is what she's saying at some point in the future. It's like a retaking of vows with the birth family that he came from, that is his family. And she's saying it's in his blood. And he won't be able to fully escape from his heritage, from his patterning, nor should he. Nor should you expect him to. She says if you take it down into your family, whatever problems you may have with a family or a family member, however much you may disagree with them, fall out with them, fight with them, move away from them, they still are within you because they are within your blood. And so she says it's about making peace with the bloodline. Okay. Shall I just pull a card on Harry from this deck? It feels like I want to pull a card from this deck because I did get this deck out last night because, to be honest, it's the only deck that I've got that has actually got the Queen of Hearts within it, which is Diana. So I'm going to pull a card for Harry now, okay, in terms of how Harry is now. Is that okay, Diana? Yeah, okay. Oh, Jesus. Well, you saw me pick that. Okay, let me just go back a step and breathe. We've got the card of death. And we've got the Four of Hearts on the bottom of the pack. I don't believe this is his physical death. But it is death of everything that he knew. Death is death. And now I'm hearing that phrase in my head, although I walk into the valley of death, I do not walk alone, you know, because for God is with me. Make no mistake about it. However he is feeling or showing himself on the surface, although I actually think you can see a lot of sadness in the guy's eyes, to be perfectly honest. But even, you know, with a smile plastered all over his face, he is feeling as though this is a complete death. And with the Four of Hearts, there is this energy of having lost something. We've also got the Six of Swords on the bottom of the pack as well, which is about having to sail away from something. So he literally has. He's actually got on a plane. He has gone to the other side of the world. He's now living in Canada. The death of the old. So that is how he's feeling at the moment. And I'm also wanting to say that I'm feeling she's wanting me to say to you, can I say this, Diana? Yeah, she says, go on, okay. It's almost like the vultures are picking on his body. That's what it feels like. The vultures are, you know, oh God, okay. She's saying it's the paparazzi, but it's also us, okay? It's like everybody has got an opinion on my son. Everybody has got an opinion on whether he's done the right thing or he hasn't done the right thing. She's saying you, Amanda, will be attacked for what you've just said because some people won't like it, you know? But actually that attack is all about my son and the fact that they think you're wrong or that they think you're right. She's saying it's like everybody it's almost like feasting on his energy. And I want to bring in something that she mentioned to me earlier, was the fact that she wants us to realise that this isn't a fairy tale. And she's talking about the royals here, basically. What does she mean by that? I myself have been guilty of it in the past. Admittedly, I was 13, 14 at the time. In fact, let me show you the mug. This is my mug that I bought when Diana and Charles got married in 1981. I'll say something about that in a moment as well. Slow down, Diana. It's like she's got so much to say. Hold on a minute, can you just slow down? Right, let's do the fairy tale first, and then we're going to do the tea towels. Okay, right. Fairy tale. I was that girl of 13, 14. I looked on her life as a bit like a fairy tale, okay? I lived through it with her, you know, wondered at all the beautiful clothes, was very immersed in, you know, the intricacies of what happened to her, was completely devastated when she died. I've said all this on previous videos. It was almost like somebody had opened up this book, okay, like a fairy tale book, and I identified with the characters within that book, which were Charles, Diana, Camilla, all the other players that were there. And I immersed myself in it. Not just me, lots of us did. And she's saying the thing is, we need to now get out of that old energy of doing that. Because she says, with regard, for example, to Harry and Meghan, she says it isn't a fairy tale, it's actually just their life, okay? It's their life that you may care to have an opinion on or not, but don't try and make the fairy tale be what you want it to be. And she's saying, we see this all the time. in what other people are projecting that they think is going on. It's as though they want the fairy tale to be a certain way. They want Meghan, for example, to be this person who represents X, Y, and Z, because they want to see that energy play out. She's saying, let the main characters in the story develop in the way that they're meant to develop, but please don't put your own projections onto it in terms of what you wish the fairy tale to be. She's saying fairy tales anyway always had a more challenging, sinister energy within them anyway. She said any of the fairy tales out there, she's talking about Little Red Riding Hood now, you know, it's like there was always the big bad wolf lurking in the background. So she says this thing about fairy tales, once upon a time, the princess in the castle, the prince riding in on the horse. She says, can we lose that? So it's not about losing the magic and the mystery of monarchy, if that's what you like and that's what you love. But it is about just starting to see them as real people, okay? Real people with real flaws, real people with real talents, real people with real gifts, real people who sometimes are going to screw up, make mistakes, real people who also sometimes are going to make brilliant things happen in the world. She's saying, but the problem is there is this narrative underlying it the whole time, which is the fairy tale, and people are wanting the fairy tale to be a certain way and for those characters to behave in a certain way. And she's saying it can't be that anymore, okay? So it's almost like, she says, within the spiritual community, she says, because I still listen in to what's being said down there on earth. She said, and I've heard you say it also, Amanda, there is this energy in 2020, and she says it is accurate, which is to do with freedom. It's to do with letting go of the shackles, the prisons that we're all in our individual lives. So she's saying, can you please also allow them the freedom to learn, to grow, to be their own people? Okay. Okay. I'm going to pull a card for Harry going into the future. And yes, I am particularly concentrating on Harry, and I'm going to come to William in a minute. I did say last night I wasn't going to bring in their wives' energies too much unless Diana wants to mention it, okay? So we've got the 9 of Swords there. Wasn't actually thinking what I was asking about there, but we'll just have it anyway, okay? I'm not quite sure what that's supposed to be. Almost looks a bit like the energy of Venus, doesn't it? Okay, the energy of Venus, and the 9 of Swords is actually a place where, that to me is, it's almost like one of the, you know, the great artists, Botticelli or somebody like that. I don't know whether he drew or painted Venus, but I'm feeling that is the energy of Venus. But this has got a lot of worry and stress. Swords and the 9 of Swords is about worries, it's about stress. So, I mean, I was mentioning, you know, the daughters-in-law, so maybe this is also referring to Meghan being stressed out as well, okay? But actually, what I was asking the cards for is a future energy for Harry. Let's just see how Harry settles in his new life. Okay, Diana. So we know it's the death of the old. Let's just see how he's settling into his old life, or will settle in. We've got the Prince of Wands. So this is him wanting to make the fresh new start. And he is very much the Prince of Wands, I think. The Prince of Wands is maybe a little bit hot-headed. Harry's always been described as hot-headed. So quite passionate. A lot of wanting to make it work is what I'm wanting to say. Okay, wanting to make it work. So that's a good card to get. Let's have one more that goes with that. So that's a good card to see. So he's going in with enthusiasm. He's going in with enthusiasm to his new life. He's going in with the best of intentions, wanting to make it work, fired up. The Hanged Man, though, is basically saying that he will be probably forced to look at things from a different perspective. I mean, that's already happening anyway. I mean, this is also that he's going to have to start to see life from a different perspective, okay? But we've also got the card of Strength on the bottom of the pack, so that's good. I feel as though that's actually, it's quite interesting. I think that's Diana trying to tame him a little bit. So Harry, to me, I was just saying he can be a bit of a hothead. It's like he's got that sort of energy of the lion, you know, who can't be tamed. Diana, for some reason, seems to be the lion tamer. She seems to be the one that was always able to soothe him and help him to be able to channel all of that red fiery energy basically that he does have. Okay, so I feel that's Diana there offering strength to him at this time, because she's saying it's actually going to be quite hard for him to do this, which effectively is to see things from a completely different perspective. That doesn't mean that he can't, it's a challenge. Okay, it's a challenge. Let's just have one card for their relationship as we are here, and then we'll get back to anything else Diana wants to talk about. I know she wants to talk about William. Okay, so Harry and Meghan, let's just have an energy, Diana. Anything you want to say through the cards? Harry and Meghan. Anything you would like to say, Diana, through the cards? Harry and Meghan. The Ace of Swords. Truth will prevail, is what I'm hearing. Truth will prevail. Truth will out. There's also an energy here as a mother where she's saying just go for it, do it, make of it what you can, do your best, cut through what needs to be cut through. It's like almost like a good wish card for a fresh new start. Be quite ruthless in terms of what it is that you two want. Two strands here. Anything else to say, Harry and Meghan? Diana, Harry, anything else to say, Harry and Meghan? It's interesting. She's showing me a piece of antique lace on a table. And it's funny, I've mentioned antique roses, didn't I? There seems to be a nod to... I'm looking at how beautiful this piece of antique lace looks on the table. And it seems to be a nod to that which is old, that which is beautiful, that which has heritage, respect that too, okay? So even though we've got the Ace of Swords, which is like this fresh new start, everything needs to be changed, everything, clear it all out, you know, it's almost like let's just throw the curtains open, change everything. It's almost like within that setting, I'm seeing a very, almost like quite an old-fashioned antique cloth on the table. And I feel it's a nod to what has been brought, what's been built up in the past. It has to be a nod to the family, I guess, his family. I'm just going to ask Diana about the Queen at this point. The Queen. Anything she wants to say linked into the energy of the Queen. Okay, I'm feeling something on my head. It's like a crown, and I'm being shown a red cushion with gold tassels on each corner. And in the center of this beautiful red velvet cushion is a ring, and it's being taken to the crown. And she doesn't want to use the words, but I am interpreting this, because to me it's quite clear. This feels as though there's going to be another coronation. Okay. And straight away I'm seeing William, you see. I always see William. It doesn't have to be that Charles doesn't become king for a while, but it's almost like that's not where the focus is. The focus is, and I can see it quite clearly now, I can see William and he's sitting on the crown. He's sitting, no, sorry, he's not sitting on the crown. He's sitting on the throne. He's got the crown is actually, oh my goodness, the crown is actually hovering over his head. Energetically, the crown is already hovering over his head, much closer than he thinks it is. I'm seeing Catherine to his left-hand side. She's dressed all in white. She's got a very structured dress on. It's long. It's nipped in at the waist. They almost, okay, thank you. Diana is saying, Kate is not a commoner. I mean, commoner is such a horrible word, and you know, it's just a silly word that we use in the UK to, you know. So, what Diana means by that is she's saying, actually, what I'm being shown. Really? Okay, I'm being shown that Kate Middleton was a queen in a prior life, and I actually am feeling she could well have been Catherine of Aragon. Catherine of Aragon was a queen, was I think I'm right in saying this, was Henry VIII's first wife. And he basically, you know, divorced Catherine of Aragon to marry Anne Boleyn. Oh my God. Okay, Anne Boleyn and Meghan are entwined energetically. A lot of us already know that. Okay. Harry and Meghan were married on the day that Anne Boleyn got her head chopped off. So there's some karma there, coming back into that family that did that. That's not new. That's been out there for a while. A lot of us already know that, okay? Now, the bit I hadn't appreciated that Diana's now just filling me in on is that Catherine and Meghan, one of the reasons they don't get on in this life, they don't realise this. In the past life, they were enemies. But Catherine of Aragon, those of you that know the story, Catherine of Aragon was not beheaded. She actually, did she outlive Henry VIII? I think she might have outlived him. Anyway, whatever happened to Catherine of Aragon, she basically lived. She was demoted from queen, basically, by Henry, who replaced her with Anne. And Catherine of Aragon led a pretty graceful life. Died, you know, of natural old age or whatever age she died. And there's a lot of respect for Catherine of Aragon. It's like she took it on the chin. She stood up for her faith and it's almost like she was demoted from queen, but yet she was always still the queen. That was the energy she held. She had a lot of grace about her. And I'm seeing that it's like, I think Kate Middleton, I think she's got a past energy of Catherine of Aragon. So it's like now I'm seeing her on the throne and she's beside William. Well, William is going to be the king in this life. She is going to be the consort, you know, the queen, you know, the consort to the monarch. But yet she's like back in her rightful place. And I tell you what, she looks just as regal as he does. I'm seeing it now. She's also got a little crown on her head as well. So in all seriousness, what Diana is saying is it gives you a layer of understanding in terms of when these two met, these two women, Meghan and Kate, in, you know, 2019, 2018, whenever they met. It wasn't that they, you know, it wasn't that they really disliked each other. It was just this energy of like, I don't think they even quite understood. It was like there was something there which was just like, I'm not feeling this. But I am feeling as though I'm just wanting, even my posture with Kate, it's like I'm wanting to hold my head up. And I'm feeling like a very straight back. She has got a beautiful posture and she's very regal. She was a queen. So how interesting is that? And of course, a lot of people think that Harry has the energy of Henry VIII. So if you think about it, if we've got Henry VIII as in Harry and Anne Boleyn as in Meghan walking around now in their new suits, that's all these bodies are, and this hair and this skin, they're just suits. You know, the soul just comes in and puts another suit on to work through karma and everything else. They're suddenly met with this presence of somebody who's like, hold on a minute, you know, I remember you, even though I don't know who you are and I can't quite put words to it, but my soul recognises your soul. There's a bit of unfinished business here. But I don't think there's been any fighting or anything like that. It's just like very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable around them. And, you know, in the old days, you know, with William and Kate and Harry, they used to have a ball. They were always laughing because I think the thing was that it's really weird to be talking this way because it's almost like I've got Henry VIII and Harry together. It's like Henry VIII, he always, I feel like there was still a fondness for Catherine of Aragon, even though he demoted her and then went on to marry goodness knows how many other wives. There was still this fondness and friendship. You know, they got on. That's what I'm feeling. There was an energy of getting on. Anyway, so my goodness, where does that all leave us? I don't know, Diana. She's saying, yes, quite a mix, isn't it? She's laughing. Okay. Right, let's go back to William and Kate as they are in this lifetime. Because the thing is, it's interesting when you see past life memories flash up, but you have to realise they are who they are in this lifetime, okay? And you have to respect who they are in this lifetime and the role they've taken on in this lifetime. What she's saying to me is that many people don't realise that royalty, those people that are royal, you know, within the family at the moment, she's saying if you could see the queue of people in what you would call heaven, you know, other realm, before you incarnate, basically, the huge queues of people that basically rejected the role, that said, no, thank you very much. And she says it's so interesting, it's really topsy-turvy. She's saying because up here, it's almost like you can look down, you can think, I mean, I'm actually wanting to swear. I don't think Diana swore much, but I wanted to say poor sods. There is that sort of energy, you know, and she's laughing because she's saying you don't realise that there are much easier lives to be had on the earth plane than choosing to be Queen of England, you know, or Prince of Wales or any of the others. She's saying it isn't an easy incarnation to choose. And she's saying there are so many souls that basically, even though they sort of half put their hand up and said, okay, I will be that, actually when it came down to it and they were shown almost like the Akashic book in terms of these are the main events that will play out. They just close the book and walk away and say, no, thank you very much. So she's saying in some ways, people should have maybe a little bit more respect for the soul choice of every single person that signs up to do that. Because she says it doesn't feel as though that is appreciated. It can be, because she says it's got nothing to do with money, it's got nothing to do with the jewels, it's got nothing to do with the trappings and the castles. She says that is not what it's about. She says it's about actually embodying the essence of being a queen, a prince, a duke, whatever. Comes with an awful lot of baggage, she says, particularly karmic baggage. And she's saying this is what you're seeing playing out a lot within my family at the moment. She's saying, but although I have great compassion and love for both my boys, and she says, maybe I'm talking in a slightly tougher way than you expected me to today with regards to them. She's saying, I also am able to see the higher perspective. I'm able to see the karma playing out. And I'm also being able to see, and she's saying, open your eyes to say it, Amanda, the necessity of it playing out. She's saying it has to play out to heal the wounds of the past. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay, Diana. She sort of circumnavigated talking about the Queen. It was quite interesting. Because I just got shown William coming in. As I say, there may still be Charles as an interim, but William is the long-term king, is what I want to say. He'll be the next long-term one. Charles, if anything, is like a caretaker king. It sounds a horrible thing to say, but if he even makes it onto the throne. She's saying, please say some nice things about Charles. Okay, what she means by that is that she's saying he's actually doing his best with regard to the boys, okay? She's saying it... okay, take me into Charles's energy just for a moment with regard to this whole situation with the two sons, Diana. she's just shown me he's just like, his hands are in the air. He's like, he doesn't know what to do. That doesn't mean he's weak. It's just like, it's like he's very exacerbated by it, but wanting to, she's saying he's wanting to do the right thing. He's wanting to be there for them in the capacity that he's able to do that. I'm feeling actually a lot of love coming through from Charles to both of his sons, but also a lot of worry, actually, a lot of worry, a lot of mental anguish about them, about the choices that they might make, the paths that they're on. And now I'm just being shown another side of Charles, which I'm feeling a great sadness, actually. Sadness is maybe not quite the right word, but I'm just feeling an emotion, let's put it that way, linked into, I've never really thought about this before. She said, can you imagine what it's like to be a man of his age who has never got the job that he's spent his whole life waiting for, and who, when the moment comes close, a lot of people don't want you to do it and they want your son to do it instead. She says the aging process, she says, I didn't actually go through it in that lifetime as Diana, although I had in other lifetimes. She's saying getting older sucks anyway, without everybody clamouring for your son rather than for you. And she's saying there is a side to Charles which is very sensitive and who completely hears what other people are saying with regards to that, and who is hurt by it. Hurt is the energy I was trying to put my hand on. It's not sadness, it's hurt. He's hurt. He's hurting. I'm feeling a lot of turmoil within him, and it's all in his headspace. It's like he's trying to work out the best thing to do for his short term and long term with regard to his sons. She's saying he feels as though his hands are tied, though. Okay, I'm just going to have some water, guys. I'm going to go back to something I said about the tea towel. Not only do I never listen to the radio, I never use this mug. It's not an antique. I actually bought it from W.H. Smith, so it was about £5 or something. But the thing is, I bought it in 1981. It's got Charles and Diana on it. It's the day of their wedding. And to me, I don't know, I remember the moment I bought it. It symbolises something. So it actually is on a bookcase at home. It never gets used in case it gets broken. She's saying you could smash it now. I don't want to smash it, Diana. She didn't mean that in a retributive way. It's more like, those of you that understand healing, it's like when you, she's saying it's almost like the mug and the tea towels, and it's like they symbolise the old. They symbolise what was. It's like all of that is gone now. So it's like when you write a letter and you get all of your feelings out, you then burn it. You give it to the elements. I don't know whether I can give that one to the elements, but anyway, that's not the point. The reason why she wants me to talk about the mug is because when I filled it up with water earlier, straight away I heard her saying, or repeating something that has been in the media anyway, which is that her sister is reported to have said that Diana, shortly before she married Prince Charles, basically confided in one of her sisters that she had great doubts about the marriage. She had great doubts about the marriage. Is someone going to pick that phone up? Yeah. She had great doubts about the marriage, and the sister said to her, you can't back out now. Your face is on all the mugs and tea towels. And I felt as though there was a bit of something along those lines that are linked into Harry and Meghan as well. I think one or both of them had some doubts before the marriage, but it wasn't that the love wasn't there, because I think the love is there. I think they love each other. I think Diana knows that, but it's just that the circumstances around them, the differences in terms of culture, and that's got nothing to do with colour, it's got nothing to do with race, it's more to do with marrying outside of the royal circle. You know, remember Diana, even though she wasn't part of the royal family when Charles married her, She was an aristocrat. She was of that, you know, she was pretty much of that line. So she had an understanding of what it entailed, although she's on record of saying she had no idea what she'd got herself into. But for somebody who has never grown up even in the country, or with an understanding of being around that whole energy of royalty and aristocracy, the odds were always going to be quite highly stacked against them as a couple in terms of the would-be challenges that came in. So I think there were some doubts, certainly from one or both of them. That's what I got when I picked up that mug, okay? But certainly remember, Diana is sending them this Ace of Swords energy, which is just to try to cut through what needs to be cut through and make the most of it. I'm going to go back now to something I've written down that I forgot to say earlier. Going back to that song that Diana gave me at the start, You've Got the Power Over Me. Because at the moment, Meghan is wearing the trousers. That's what I'm being shown, okay? She is wearing the trousers, but maybe she needs to wear the trousers, okay? Maybe, you know, it's taken an awful lot of strength from within Harry to be able to make these steps out of the family that he has felt unhappy with, he's been arguing with, he's been in conflict with. He needed to do this, you know, almost like with or without Meghan. So he needed her to be strong. He needed her to lead. So remember, you know, that whole thing is important to remember that within relationships, sometimes you need one person to take the lead. In a good relationship, then it balances itself out, okay? But the song that came after, on the radio, after You've Got the Power Over Me by whoever that was, it sounds a great song. That I'm going to get that album actually, good artist, was I Won't Let the Sun Go Down on Me by, oh God, who was it? I can see him in my mind's eye. That was an 80s tune. So I felt that was almost like the next chapter. I won't let the sun go down on me. It's almost as though it was almost like a message from Harry, which is saying, I will reclaim, you know, I started off with citrine, which links into the solar plexus, which links into the sun. I will reclaim my divine power. You know, I will be able to stand in my own power. That image that I was shown by Diana earlier of him walking back down the mall towards his family, the interesting thing about it is he wasn't looking at all browbeaten. He wasn't like looking like, oh God, you know, save me. Nothing like that. It was an energy of, I'm coming back, but I'm coming back stronger. I'm coming back actually as the man, okay? I thought I was the man before, but I am the man now, okay? So that's good. Okay. I've got two other things I want to mention. I've written duty versus freedom, and I also wanted to mention mental health. So let's go back, because I feel that within her two boys, interesting I said Charles, it's almost like the third child she's saying. Okay, within her two sons, William and Harry, it feels like they're representing two different energies, duty and freedom, okay? So is there anything you want to say with regard to that, Diana? Duty and freedom, your two sons, the two different roles that they've got going forward. She's saying that this talk about them being separated from each other, having fallen out with each other, she's saying, yes, they've had tiffs, they've had arguments. She's saying that's all been reported anyway, and it's the truth. But what I'm being shown is two parallel lines, okay, which are running side by side of each other in the same direction towards the same goal. So even though at the moment they are feeling apart from each other, I mean, geographically they are apart, but energetically they're apart as well. It's as though their lives are running along parallel lines. They both have each other within each other's sight at all times, she's saying. And if one were to run a little bit further ahead than the other, it's almost like I'm seeing the other brother looking behind to make sure the other one's okay. I'm actually seeing that of Harry. It's interesting. I've got Harry on the right, I've got William on the left, and Harry at the moment, because he's like the Prince of Wands, he's got like this, you know, this fiery, forward, determined energy. He's like wanting to race on to his next destination. But I'm seeing him looking behind him to make sure his brother's okay. And William's further down here. William's energy is a bit more, slow and steady. That doesn't mean boring, by the way, okay? It just means it's the thing about duty. He's got a duty to perform. He's got a destiny that he can't get out of, and he can't get out of his destiny, basically. He can't get out of his duty. And so it's like slow and steady. And it's like Harry's I don't know, I'm just feeling Harry looking behind him at his brother. But it's more from are you okay? It's like, are you okay, bruv? That type of energy is what I'm getting. So they always have each other in their sights, even though they might not be even speaking or, in each other's proximity. There's the energetic bond between the two boys, Diana. Let's just talk about that. She says they're like a rubber band that will always just keep coming back to each other. That's nice. She's saying like the rubber band can stretch a lot from time to time, and it can be like, whoa, it's like they haven't seen each other for a while, talked to each other for a while, they're on different continents, they're leading completely different lives, but it's like, whew, then the band does that. It's like the band never breaks. The band of brothers never breaks, she's saying. The band of brothers. Interesting term of phrase. The band of brothers never breaks. I'm actually wanting to put them in an infinity sign, those two. It's like I'm seeing the rubber band now has become an infinity sign. So it's like William and Harry are just in this beautiful energy of number 8, infinity. And they just do a dance, basically, and like sometimes they come to the center of the infinity sign and they're quite close to each other. Other times they're further apart, but yet they're still within the infinity sign. They're always connected. Nothing can change that, she says. Nothing can change that. No person can change that. No circumstance can change that. They are invincible in that respect. Okay. Anything else to say on the brothers? William has this energy of being a little bit irritated, in terms of, it's like I've got him looking at his watch. It's like, but he's looking at his watch in terms of, what's he looking at his watch for? I don't know. I'm just going to leave it there. I can't interpret that. He's just looking at his watch. He's feeling a bit irritated. Time is ticking. Very much aware of his brother racing ahead, but it's like he's looking at his watch for some reason. He's got an energy of I don't know what the king is now. He's got an energy. He's been a king as well in a past life. He's been an English king. I can see the guy in my mind's eye. Ooh, I don't know what the king is. George the something or other. I can see the image of this king in my mind's eye. The image I've got of him is in a red sort of tunic. He was an older man. Grey hair, quite similar features to William. George let's see if I can get a picture up. I'm just going to pause my camera. Okay, I've got it. This is who I'm seeing in my mind's eye. George V. Can you look at the guy's features and see I can see William in that. George V. So William has got George V's energy, may even have been George V. And I'm just wondering what George V did. He was the King of the United Kingdom and the British Dominions and Emperor of India. Born during the reign of his grandmother, Queen Victoria, George was third in the line of succession behind his father. Interestingly, he died on the 20th of January 1936, aged 70. I'm doing this on the 22nd of January. He was king during World War I, and he and his wife visited the war front regularly. He was the one who changed the family name to Windsor to remove any association with a German heritage. Among other things, he was credited for starting the Royal Christmas broadcast. He was a popular monarch. Many people thought he was a very good king. And he's the grandfather of the current Queen Elizabeth II. So William, I feel, is this guy reincarnated. He's George V. Okay. Well, it's good that he was a popular king. I was thinking, oh God, I hope he was a good one. He was a good one. And William's going to be a good king as well. So there we have it, guys. I mean, the thing that's so fascinating about this is that within any family, you know, take it down to your family now, the husband or wife that you're married to, the children that you have, the mother that you have, the father that you have, the grandparents, there will definitely be people in that family that you have been with over and over again. The thing is, you're just playing different roles, okay? So why should the royal family be any different? Okay, we've got Harry as Henry VIII, we've got Meghan as Anne Boleyn, we've got Catherine as Catherine the Arrogant. She's actually kept her same name. And we have got William as George V. Okay, so into all of that, bring all of their, whatever happened in those lifetimes, the karma that has to come up to play. That's why Diana is saying, just let it play out. Okay, let it play out. Ooh, how interesting. I'm fascinated by it. I hope you found it interesting. Okay, I mean, we could go on and on, but I'm not going to. But, you know, in terms of their children will be aspects as well. Right, Dan, anything else to say? Oh, God, just sprayed that in my face. Okay, that's woken me up. Oh, she says, no talk about that. Okay, I've just sprayed my face with the water that's in here. I'm being shown, I know I sprayed my chin, but actually in all seriousness, what she's talking about is anointing with oils. Anointing with oils happens when you are crowned. Okay, you are crowned. Okay, she's also saying you are royal. I am royal. What she means by that is we are all royal. We are all sovereign. It's almost like I just anointed myself with my own lotion, okay? But please remember also that, as I say, a lot of us said no thank you very much to being in that particular family. So this is what always makes me, you know, laugh about people that get in such a terrible state about some aspects of the royal family, and, you know, whether they're this, whether they're that. They are all just playing a role. They're playing a role that needs to be played upon this planet at this moment in time for the ascension journey, okay? We are all interlinked. So we'll talk about that another day, Diana. Let's just end with anything else you wanted to say. I was wondering whether you wanted to bring something through on mental health. Let's just see about that. Just gonna have my camera battery died. Those of you that watch me regularly know that my battery tends to die to make a point. And I was just talking about mental health, and it comes up battery exhausted. I've said this before in other videos, whether it was with Diana or anybody else where I've been channeling mental health. Could have been Robin Williams as well, actually. Depletion is very strongly linked into struggles that we have with our mental health. Okay, so you've got to take time for you. I just want to see where she wants to go with this now, okay? And let's just see any other messages that want to come through. So Diana obviously is linked to the moon goddess, Diana, and she's showing me the sea. and I live by the sea, so I know what the sea does. And what the sea often will do is it will bring up onto the shoreline driftwood and pieces of debris, rubbish, etc., that a storm brings in. And you go and walk on the beach and you see the litter or the debris. And she's saying it's very much that's what's happening in regard to your own lives at this time. That the energies are churning up the collective and personal waters within you and onto your bit of beach comes something from your subconscious, from your back catalogue, from your shadow, from your fear, that maybe you haven't wanted to look at. But yet it has only been washed up upon your shore because it knows it is a safe place to bring it to. You are only being confronted with your own stuff. And yet we all run away from our own stuff. She says, I spent many years running away from my own demons and my own difficulties and my own pain. But I can see so clearly now that that is a waste of time and that it is far better to be able to gather up the strength and the courage to look at what needs to be looked at in your own life. So she's saying no more running away from yourself. She says you owe it to yourself to face up to what needs to be looked at in your own life with compassion and with love, and to seek supportive, loving people around you that can help you do that. But the most supportive and loving person that you need is yourself and your own attitude to yourself. To not judge yourself for mistakes that you've made, misdemeanors, difficulties that you face dealing with, addictions, lack of forgiveness, difficult relationships, struggles with your own body. She says, but if you can bring in the energy of love and peace and compassion to your centre, to your heart, to your very being, then love, peace and gentleness softens everything. Please do that. A number of you talk when I say that I'm going to be channeling Diana about her beautiful maternal energy that she had. And I talked about that at the start. I think what she's demonstrated today is also that there are times when a mother has to stand back and allow her children to find their own way, realizing that love is always there to come back to. I'm not picking up an energy with her today which is at all mollycoddling or wanting to wrap us up in cotton wool. It's more linked into encouragement that you can do it. Whatever it is that you need to do, that you can do it. That the world is not a hostile place, she says. She says if you wish it to be, however, and you look for that hostility, you will find it in abundance. But yet, if you seek out love and peace, you will find that also. You will find that in many living things and in the energy and the air that you breathe. It starts with you. And so as a mother and also as a teacher, this is Diana talking, I encourage you to dig into your own reserves and learn how to love yourselves better. Learn how to mother yourself. Because when you learn to mother yourself and to nurture yourself, you learn that you can rely on you. And when you have learned that you can rely on you, you don't need to run away from yourself. Please face yourself. Please look at yourself in the mirror and see the beauty of who you are, why you are here, what your role is. All of this with my boys, all of people's opinions on it. Although it is interesting to discuss, and I'm glad that you show interest, but really the main work should be about you, your life, your relationships. If we have demonstrated today that in every single family there is karma, within every single family there is unfinished business and roles that are reversed and interplayed via many different lifetimes, and you get to a place of understanding of that, then look to your own family. Look to the mother that might have been your child in a previous life. Look to your partner who may have taken on a different role. See the many different roles that you have had. And within those different roles, there will have been many capabilities, many strengths, many talents, many gifts. Draw on those. They're still available for you. Draw on the best parts of what you've been. And help heal those parts that feel broken. Bring in my energy of love to your heart now. And let me soothe what needs soothing. A reminder of what you too can do on a daily basis. A baby, when it is born, learns to self-soothe. It's almost as adults we have forgotten how to do that. Do whatever soothes your soul, soothes your body, soothes your mind. And be around people that champion that, not people that bring you down. I know what it is to feel down. But within every moment, there is the opportunity for new, fresh energy to enter, for transformation to come in. But I encourage you to concentrate on learning how to soothe yourself, love yourself, and nurture yourself. If you feel in my energy all of that, know that I am just an aspect of you and that you have that within yourself too. Wrap yourself in the energy of the rose. Become the rose. Realize that you are the rose. And like the rose, you can unfurl and open to all of the help, all of the beauty that is out there for you. You are this. Hi, camera died again. I've actually just gone back and reviewed a little bit of the material that I've already done here, and I'm realising the video is quite long already, so I'm actually going to wrap it up. But just a couple of things I've noticed. I've watched 30 minutes of the video, the first bit of it, and there was a few things I didn't say at various points, only a couple of bits, but you know me, I like to get it right. When I was being shown Harry walking back down the mall towards his family on the balcony, what I also saw, but I didn't say, was that as well as his family on that balcony, there was a whole other layer of people behind the family who were his old friends, some of whom he's currently estranged from. And I do know, because Diana's been telling me over the last 48 hours, that she is around some of his very old friends who I don't believe he's in contact with at the moment. And it's almost as though she's been trying to sort of whisper in their ear not to give up on him, and that he needs them still, even though all appearances are to the contrary, that he's sort of walked away from some of these old friends. So it's that old thing about old friends, true old friends will always be there for you, no matter what happens, okay? So I feel like her energy is very much around his old crowd, okay, still. Just making, almost like wanting them to nudge them that, you know, he still needs you, even though he's appearing as though he doesn't. He hasn't really walked away. He needs you still, is sort of an energy I'm getting. And that's a very mum thing to do, okay? I also just noticed in the first, 20 minutes of the video, when I was talking about the song, You've Got the Power Over Me, I noticed that the reflection from my candle, there was a perfect flame on Harry's heart in the photograph of him. It literally was like a Diana's flame, Diana's light is within his heart and trying to help him find his peace and his sanctuary with his new life, okay? And obviously within his marriage as well. So I thought that was worth noting. Okay, I want to just end then by saying that I've had like a 15-minute break whilst this camera's been charging up again. And I was just flicking through some cards, wasn't really even asking any particular questions of them. Just sort of saying, okay, Dana, is there anything else? Are you happy with what, you know, we've put out here? And she is happy with it. But there's a card that kept coming through all the time, and it's the Strength card. Just looking for it now. I've put it back in the pack. But it's the one I showed you earlier of the lion, which I felt was Harry. And she was sort of the one trying to tame the lion, okay? So again, I'm just trying to find the card, because again, now we've got that past life information. If you think about it, if he's carrying the energy of Henry VIII within him, well, you know, nobody tamed Henry VIII in his lifetime, okay? And it's not saying that Harry is that again in this lifetime. It's just that there's like a cellular memory of being that person who at times will not listen to anybody, okay? Does his own thing, but the one person that does seem to be able to soothe him, here we go, is Diana. I feel this is Diana trying to soothe the lion. So, and she's saying she does it when he's asleep. She does it when he's asleep. She watches over him when she is asleep. I'd like to conclude this video just by saying that, in summary, she wishes the best for both of her sons. She wishes the best for both of them in their respective marriages. She has no harsh words to say about anybody. But there is just this sort of feeling that I'm left with, which is that she knows that at some point in the future, there needs to be a rehealing of the bloodline linked into Harry and and his family. And that even though it looks like he's walking away, it looks like it sort of comes back into a circle, and he comes back into the family fold at some point, stronger, wiser, more mature, having completed that whole journey. How long that journey takes, I have no idea. But I do know that she wishes him and Meghan well. She wishes William and Kate well. And I also am picking up a lot of fondness for Charles. I've always felt that with her when she's come through, despite what has happened to them in the past. Sorry, my phone's just gone off here. It's interesting. Monty Python star Terry Jones has just died at the age of 77. Prince Charles is a great fan of Monty Python. Feels like there's a nod there to something. Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life. That's Monty Python. So, yeah, you know, I'm wanting you to understand that she has got such love in her heart for all of the players in all of the story, and in the royal family. And I think that unconditional love that she's able to show, and that forgiveness and that tolerance and that understanding of how everything's playing out at higher level, but also being there for the people she loves at you know, day-to-day level, as well as stepping in to help us. You know, she's going to help both her boys with the charities that they are still involved with, and their wives. You know, she's a very active spirit, you know, a very active soul, but she's just got this real measured understanding of actually what's going on, what needs to go on, what needs to play out, what has to play out, what has to be healed. And it's almost like she's overseeing that in terms of the family that she was in, but she's also wanting to help us with our own families as well, and all of the dynamics that are there as well. So there's a lot more to be said, guys. There always are with these videos. But it is now 20 to 1, and I'm going to go and have my lunch and get this uploaded. I think the video's long enough anyway. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for all your support. Be as Diana is in your comments in terms of, you know, trying to speak with love about all of the parties involved, and of course with regard to her. So thank you, Diana. I'm just going to sort of close by thanking her, just to see if she's got anything else that she wants to close with. She's just showing me a lily pond, and on top of the lily pond are the flowers, the lilies, and she's got a sense of humour, Diana. Sorry about the phone, guys. On top of the lily pad, on top of the pond, on top of the lily pads, there is some frogs as well. And it's that thing about, you know, if you kiss a frog, it can become a prince. So we're back to the fairy tale ending, but so she wants us to believe in the magic. Okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to go and answer that phone. Much love. Bye for now.